Hi, this is Vicki with My Paper Connection. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, and today is my fun fold day, only today's really more like my fancy fold day. Check this out. It is a square window fancy fold. Isn't that amazing though? It is such a neat card. I actually didn't make it the right way whenever I made it, but I really like the way it turned out and the way it just kind of tucks in. I'm going to attempt to do it the correct way, which would be with my corner of the square being in here and being more like a diamond in the middle. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. To make this card, I'm going to be using thick Whisper White cardstock as my base. It is cut at 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. And then I'm just burnishing it. And then I am also using gray granite, which is also 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. And you go ahead and you just burnish both of those. Next thing I'm going to do is to bring in my scoring tool, and I'm going to mark it with my pencil at 2 3/4. And I'm just going to bring in my ruler at that 2 3/4 line, and I'm going to mark it down here as well. Okay, then I'm going to flip it, mark it 2 3/4 here. I'm going to do the same right here with the 2 3/4. Mark it right here. And right here. Okay. Okay, so now I'm bringing in my trimmer, and I'm going to line up the tick mark on each end with the one on the side. So I want to make sure that I put that tick mark in the track, each one of those in the track, and I'm basically going to create a point there. Okay, I'm going to do the same here. Sometimes it helps to go ahead and close the arm so that you can make sure those tick marks are inside that track right in here. We'll do the same here to right here. So this is what your project ends up looking like after you've cut everything out, okay? Okay, so I'm going to take I have 3 squares right here. And what I'm going to do with them is I am going to cut out a piece of, I'm going to use my medium-sized one right here in the corner like this. Then I'm going to cut out a piece of white with the smaller one. And then with a coordinating color, probably the purple Posy, I will cut out right here. Okay, I wanted to show you how I went about making a frame. So basically I used the larger of the 3 squares, and I placed it on the purple Posy. Then, as you can see, I washi taped the second of the squares, and that's what I came out with. Isn't that cool? Love it. Okay. And I went ahead and used it out of this because nobody will see that I did that, okay? So let's start putting things together here and there, and we will see where we go from there. I'm going to use the paper from, I think this is the Peony paper. I don't know the exact name of it, but I will have all of the dimensions and everything listed on my blog, and my blog will be, my website is at the top of the page. So, and I just forgot that had, I'm going to lift it up before putting it down because I forgot I had glue on the inside, and there's a hole. Okay. I think this purple Posy is going to be really pretty with it. I'm going to go ahead and put this on my thick Whisper White. That alone would make a beautiful card, right? But we're going to make it even prettier. I've already burnished this, so what I'm going to do is to place some glue right here on the back of this. And then I'm going to just guide this up to it. And that's the beauty of using Tombow. If you don't get it completely straight, you can just use your finger to match it up perfectly. Okay, I'm going to use my bone folder again, and this time I'm going to go down, do a nice little harder, and I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is to get my stamping done, and I'm using Thick Whisper White. It's just a piece that I had, but if I'm being honest, Thick Whisper White really does a nice job when you're using your stamping blends. So I'm just going to stamp my flower in here. Not loving that. Hold on one second. Let's do it again. Maybe I'll do it on this side instead. Okay, and I'm just going to do a little bit of coloring. I'm bringing in Purple Posy and So Saffron, and I'm going to use the light Highland Heather. Okay? All right, so I'm going to start out with my lightest color, which is the light Purple Posy. I'm going to use the bullet point, and I'm just going to go around the edges. Get some of this stuff out of my way. I'm going to go around the edges just to get those edges kind of lined out. And then I'll go back in and fill it in with the light Purple Posy. Then I'm going to come in with the dark Purple Posy and hit up these accent marks. And then I'm going to do a little bit more highlighting with light Highland Heather. Okay? I'm going to fast forward while I do this. Okay, so I want to point out something that I did, and it was a mistake. I actually brought in the light Highland Heather. These colors are so similar, and it looked lighter than the dark Purple Posy, and it looked lighter than the light Purple Posy. And I got carried away there thinking it was the light Purple Posy. So be careful and read your markers if they're similar and close in color. Now I'm going to go back over with the light Purple Posy. I knew it almost immediately when I put it on that petal, but I didn't. I needed to stop myself and go with the dark Purple Posy. Okay, I've got my purple done. Now I'm going to use my So Saffron. I'm just going to go there in the center. I think I'll use my bullet point. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is to cut this out, and I will be right back. I always like to keep it real when I'm making these videos, and I wanted to show you what I ended up having to do. When I went over to cut it out, I realized I needed it to be in this direction. And you see, I was going to have a lot of negative space there. It wasn't going to fit. And in order for it to be a diamond in my card, it was going to be sideways. And that was going to look funny. So I brought my die over, and I placed it in the middle of my card like that, and then I stamped it. And then what the other thing that I did a little differently was I wasn't real happy with the lightness of the So Saffron, so I used So Saffron and Light Daffodil Delight, and I'm much happier with that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I have my frame right here. I'm going to put just a little bit of glue around the edges. I don't want to put too much because I don't want it to gush out the sides. And I'm just going to place this right here. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue this on right here. And I'm going to place dimensionals on the back of it. Once you have the dimensionals on the back, you're going to want to lay it in here so that it fits inside of that square. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is to stamp hello. I just want that hello to show. So I brought in a Stamping Right marker, and I'm just going to ink up using my Stamping Right marker just the word hello. Then I'm going to blow on it. And there you go. I got a little something right there. I'm going to do that one again. Okay, so I have that stamped, and I'm going to bring in my Label Me Lovely punch, I believe. Label Me Fancy punch. I'm just going to put it about here. And then I'm going to bring a little piece of scrap paper, and I'm going to put just a little bit of glue on it, and I'm going to flip it around like this, and I'm going to feed it back in. I'm going to trim it to be just a little bit shorter. It was a little bit more than I needed it to be, so all you have to do is line up your sides there and punch. And there you go. Okay. The last thing I'm going to do is to bring my mini trimmer back in, because it's a little bit wider than I want it to be. So I'm just going to straighten off these edges, and I'm going to just trim off just a little bit of it, right about where these curves, the curve is. And now, as you can see, I have a completely different label. Isn't that cool? All right, I'm going to place dimensionals on the back of this. I'm going to place this right here. I'm going to let that overlap ever so slightly, because if it has any trouble staying shut, which I don't think it will, you can tuck it right up under that. The last thing I did was to add a few elegant gems. Elegant faceted gems, and it turned out so pretty. Don't you just love these cards? Now this one I actually ended up trimming the end, and I could have done that. I could have moved this over, but I don't know. I really love the way this turned out. I think there was so much negative space here because this was up here that I felt like it was too much, but this is perfect. I love how this turned out. So pretty. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned some tips. I would love to see your fancy square front fold. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. And I would love any comments, any thumbs up you can give me. And please hit subscribe and ring the bell so that you can get noticed whenever other videos come out. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a great day. Bye now.